Hi, I'm Erin Lucy, and welcome back to my channel. This video is gonna be me going home to visit family. I wasn't really gonna do a vlog for this, but so I've already gone, and I'm just making an intro because I don't think I made one because I wasn't planning on vlogging. But it was just such a good time, and I thought it'd be fun to do like a bunch of different clips from it. So there's nothing like super specific in terms of like reading or like, you know, concrete days. I'm kind of just gonna like put the clips on there. But essentially I went home at the end of June, beginning of July, to just take a little bit of a break, but I did work from home for some of it. So it was actually mostly for my birthday, which was last weekend. And then we have had tickets to the Dead & Company, the like last Grateful Dead concert. We've had them for a long time. My parents got them so far in advance. And so I went to see that as well. So yeah, it was a super fun time. I'm gonna show the clips and then I'll come back and do a bit of a recap. This morning, I think I'm gonna go start with the Bookworm. It is my favorite. I mean, it's just like the most nostalgic for me. I've grown up going there since I was like really young. I remember going there when I was like 10 or 11 with my like best friend at the time, and like I remember walking there because we couldn't drive. It just like, you know, such fun memories being a kid, and I was always a huge Bookworm. So yes, literally called the Bookworm, and it is just like filled with piles and piles of used books. I think everything in there is used, and prices have definitely gone up over the years. I feel like we used to go and you could get books there for so cheap, but it still is a really good place to get books, and there's just so many. You can like bring your books there and they'll give you store credit, and I think it's pretty decent. So yeah, headed there now.
Contemplating all my time. My thoughts make me tired, just running through my mind. Wonder if there's peace that I can find, instead of always being on the grind. I need a new purpose. I'm looking for so much more. Don't leave me here searching. You're just what I'm longing for. When times are getting crazy and everything seems hazy, is there some place for safety I can go?
Okay, so just got back from going to the Bookworm, and just such a nostalgic place, like I said. I will say, I feel like this time it was like a little bit more hectic than usual in there, but I got a few clips and highly recommend visiting. It's just like very, I feel like it's like very old school used bookstore. There's just like so many piles of books and it's really fun. There's always lots of things. I will say all like the new release or like really high demand stuff is like in the front behind the like registers, which is kind of weird. But then there's also another like room in the front that's like has, you know, I don't know, more like fiction that's like high demand. And then there's just like lots and lots and lots of shelves. So I thought I would do a really quick book haul because, oh my god, I told myself I would only get these specific books that I want for this video that I'm gonna do, but I did actually find some there that I've been on, like had my eye out for really good prices. So we will start with one of those, and that is The Stranger by Albert Camus. And this is one that I've just been interested in. I feel like it's referenced a lot of people talk about it. I think it was my cousin who read it and she really enjoyed it, and so I was interested. And this is like a little cute little vintage edition, which I thought was kind of fun. It seems interesting. I really know nothing about it, but excited to find out at some point. It's nice and short. Then there's another one, that the Chronicle of a Death Foretold by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I really loved 100 Years of Solitude. I read it many years ago now, but I have been interested in more of his work, but I didn't really know what to read. And so I'm pretty sure I saw someone talk about this somewhere, that this was, I think, one of his first works. And it's about this murder, but like people are essentially announcing that they're gonna murder. I don't know, some mystery murder. That sounds super interesting. So there's that. And then I also found Goliath by Tochi Onoguchi, which I read Riot Baby last year. Enjoyed that and thought it would be really fun to read Goliath. I've heard a lot about it. It is like future story. In the 2050s, Earth has begun to empty. Those with the means and the privilege have departed the great cities of the United States for the more comfortable confines of space colonies. Those left behind salvage what they can from the collapsing infrastructure. As they eke out an existence, their neighborhoods are being cannibalized brick by brick. Their houses are sent to the colonies. What was once a home, now a quaint reminder for the colonists of the world that they wrecked. Sounds like a fun adventure. Okay. The last two are both for a video that I am doing, which I won't say what it is now because I need to actually do it first. But one is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. And also not super sure what this one's about. As the ward of the wealthy, Mr. Locke, January scholar, feels little different from the artifacts that decorate his sprawling mansion. Carefully maintained, largely ignored, and utterly out of place. But when she finds a strange book, one that tells a tale of secret doors, of love, adventure, and danger, for the first time, January realizes she can escape her story and sneak into somebody else's. Okay, the last one, The House on Mango Street, and also for a different video, which also know very little about, but I do believe it's about this girl's growing up in the Hispanic quarter of Chicago. Her name is Esperanza. And I think it has to do with kind of the realities of like class and gender and race in this area. So, yes. That's all that I got. Okay, so we're now at Reed Queen in Lafayette, and I discovered this I'm not even sure how long ago, a couple years ago, so like relatively recently, and I just think it's the cutest thing. It's my favorite place. I love it. It's so cute. I just want to hang out here all the time. So this is probably my favorite, although Boulder Bookstore, I mean, it's just always incredible, and there's so many books there. But Reed Queen is like just so small and cute, and they have a mix of used and new books. And I just really love the vibes and everything about it. We'll see, it's like small, so it's kind of hard to film in, but I'll try. Worst
Sometimes I just wanna disappear, running until I can feel you near. I need a new purpose, I'm looking for so much more. Don't leave me here searching, you're just what I'm longing for. When times are getting crazy and everything seems hazy, is there some place for safety I could go? Run away, run away, run away into your escape. Run away, run away, run away, you're never too far to run. Run away, run away, run away into your escape. Run away, run away, run away. Run away, run away, run away.
Yep, that was it. We basically did a lot of fun stuff. We went to see a Rockies game with the fireworks show. Like, honestly, the most amazing fireworks show I've seen. Just like so many. So that was really cool and really unexpected. And we sat really close, which was fun because I've never sat super close at a baseball game. And the Rockies won, which was fun. Not like a huge baseball person, but it was actually a really fun time. So there was that. And then my birthday was over the weekend. We went to the farmer's market. We went paddle boarding and then had like a really nice dinner at a farm to table restaurant in Boulder. So that was super fun. I also put in my clips from a bookshop trip. I had planned, like, every time I go back, I plan to do like bookshops in Boulder, and it just like never works out time-wise. I never have enough time to really do what I want. So I was gonna make a separate vlog of like going to the bookstores, but I decided to throw those clips in there because I just did not get what I wanted to from it. So, and what else? The Dead and Company concert, so fun. So yeah, it was like really awesome trip. Pretty short overall, but super good, super fun. And I thought I would just also, so I turned 28, and yeah, I feel like it's the first birthday where I really started to feel like an adult, if that makes sense. I mean, I've been super independent since I was 18. Well, it's probably because in this next year, I'm gonna be finishing up my PhD, and it's gonna be another year of change, which like hasn't really happened in a little while since like my decision to do this PhD program. So yeah, it's kind of feels, I guess it's just maybe feeling like a year of change coming, and we will probably move out of Utah. Not 100% sure about that, but yeah, there's like a lot to come in this next year. So I've been like reflecting on it a lot, thinking about things, and yeah, I do think it's like a really fun age though. I've had such a fun time in my 20s. Like, I know making friends as an adult can be kind of hard, and I've definitely had the benefit of grad school, but I do feel like right now we just have like such a solid, amazing group of friends, and it took a long time to like get there and feel that. Like, I know how it is to like not have that and to be struggling to make that. And I feel like we're finally at this point where we just like have that. I feel like I have such a great support system, like at home, but also here. And I feel really lucky for that. And I've put a lot of effort into like my friendships and creating the community we have here. So it's also kind of sad because we know we're gonna be leaving that in the next year. Once I get my PhD, jobs are definitely more limited, and we live in a relatively small town, so we could move somewhere like Salt Lake City, but it's not like, most people don't stay here who are like in the grad school at USU. So like all my friends are gonna be leaving. It's kind of a transient place for people like in this position. So, and there's not a whole lot of jobs or options after the fact. So unless I like stayed in academia and tried to find some sort of postdoc here, which I think it's time to move on. So anyway, I thought I would just do like a little bit of reflection on that, and probably talk more about PhD stuff later, but I'm really excited to be 28. I feel like it's a fun age. I have quite a number of friends who are older. I don't know, like I have this one friend who she like loves being in her 30s so much, and she thinks it's like the best age ever, and that is just so fun and so nice. I don't know, I just feel like I have like a maybe more healthy or better view of like the late 20s and 30s and like growing up and feeling good about that, because I feel like there were several years like in my mid-20s where I was like, oh my gosh, getting old, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, lots going on, lots of just like entering different phases of life. So kind of rambling, but the last thing I wanted to share was a little bit of a book haul from my birthday, because I didn't really want to do like a whole nother book haul for this, but I got a couple of books for my birthday. 4. I did ask for all of them, although one of them there's like a kind of a funny story. So yeah, and I will just go ahead and talk about them. I'm not going to talk about anything else for my birthday, just kind of these books because I wanted to share them because they've been ones that have been on my radar and I specifically asked for. We will start with In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. And this was like new release from this spring, which I did not know he was releasing a new book this year. And I really loved The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door. They're really wholesome fantasy, although I will say Under the Whispering Door has some darker themes. But overall, just like really wholesome stories, queer stories that are just like heartwarming and so nice to read. So yeah, I didn't know he was coming out with another one. It was kind of a surprise when it came out. I think I saw it on the Legendarium's Instagram, which is a bookshop that I am obsessed with in Salt Lake, and was surprised to see they came out with a new one. And it was hardback, and I try not to like spend a ton of money on hardbacks myself just because I don't have that budget, but was very excited about this and thought I would add it to my wish list for my birthday. And I've heard it's like pretty different from previous ones, but kind of both of the other two were also pretty different from each other, so I'm not entirely surprised. I'll read like a little bit from this. In a strange little home built into the branches of a grove of trees lives 3 robots. Fatherly inventor android Giovanni Lawson, a pleasant sadistic nurse machine, and a small vacuum desperate for love and attention. Victor Lawson, a human, lives there too. They're a family, hidden and safe. Then one day, Vic salvages and repairs an unfamiliar android labeled HAP, and he learns of a shared dark past between Hap and Geo, a past spent hunting humans. So I am surprised. Well, okay, I guess I said not super surprised is really different, but I definitely did not expect robots to be like the center. And I almost like feel like it's giving me, this is just like from the initial, it's giving a little bit Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers. We'll see. Might not be quite as wholesome. I don't know. Very excited about that. And then we have Tress of the Emerald Sea, which is also very funny specific story for this one because I have never read any Brandon Sanderson. And I like fantasy, but I would definitely say I read all genres and I'm not really like, I don't know, like super nailed into any one. Like I read fantasy, but a lot of what I read is fantasy romance. I think because a lot of my friends here read fantasy romance. Haven't read any Brandon Sanderson. And I never really had a super strong draw. Like, I'm sure he's great and amazing. I just like, a million books, so. But I heard about this book and it just like intrigued me so much. And I was like, wait, like maybe this is a really good way to get into Brandon Sanderson. We'll see where I go from here. I think I was also a little intimidated because he has so many books that it feels really daunting. And like, I don't know where to start. And I just like, this sounded so good. Also, it's a gorgeous book. Like, look at this. Oh my god, I just love it. And like, oh, there's a picture even in the beginning. Oy. So pretty. And yeah, I think I had read The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi and then heard the summary or kind of what this one's about, the premise, and felt that it was similar vibes, except she's a young girl. So I'll read this. The only life Tress has known on her island home in an emerald green ocean has been a simple one, with the simple pleasures of collecting cups brought by sailors from faraway lands and listening to stories told by her friend Charlie. But when his father takes him on a voyage to find a bride and disaster strikes, Tress must stow away on a ship and seek the sorceress of the deadly midnight sea. Amid the spore oceans where pirates abound, can Tress leave her simple life behind and make her own place sailing a sea where a single drop of water can mean instant death? I was really intrigued by that. It just like sounds really interesting, like a really fun, another ocean adventure. And it's standalone, I believe, because that's the other thing that really kind of intimidated me. So, although I do think it is in the same universe as some of his other stuff, which is fun because that could be like a tie-in later. Anyway, there's that. Both of those I would really like to read before summer's over, but I do have a massive TBR. Okay. The next two are kind of tied together, although there's kind of a funny story with one of them. And that is Trust by Hernan Diaz and Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. And if you follow the Pulitzer Prize at all, you'll know that these won together the Pulitzer this year, which has never happened before. So it was like a huge surprise. I was really surprised, although I'm not like a huge like Pulitzer. I just kind of keep like my eye a little bit on it, you know, and if something strikes my fancy, you know, I like to know who won and yeah, the finalists. So usually there's 3 finalists and then they choose 1 winner. And this year they chose 2, which is really, really shocking. I'll try to link if I can find any more information on this. I don't really think they make any of their reasoning public though. And yeah, I mean, I don't think these were surprises for anybody. I mean, I've heard about both of these from forever. Like, I think they've both been up for other prizes. This one won the Women's Prize too for fiction. So both have been really well regarded. So that's not entirely surprising. It's just really surprising that 2 won. I think it was a couple years ago. They didn't announce a winner at all. They just gave the 3 finalists, and people had a really big issue with that because the Pulitzer definitely drives revenue in like the book industry, bookstores and stuff like that. And I didn't read them the finalists that year, but I think some people did think that they should have chosen a winner. Whatever, I'm definitely not an expert in this, but I think it's just like an interesting backstory around the Pulitzer and how they actually gave it to 2 books. So very surprising. And so my mom actually got me all 4 of these books, but then the slightly funny story is we had like a birthday brunch or cookout thing one of the days I was there, and my aunt and uncle showed up and they had brought me Demon Copperhead. So, and my uncle had just read it and he loved it so much. He would not stop raving about it. So, Trust by Hernan Diaz. Again, I've heard about both of these for a really long time, and I always knew I wanted to read Demon Copperhead, but I kind of just like wasn't making it a priority. But Trust, I feel like I kind of pushed back on a lot. Like, I knew it was super well regarded and people were praising it a lot, but the premise didn't really sound up my alley. So I was on the fence for a really long time. But I feel like the whole Pulitzer story about both of them winning definitely like sold me. I'm just curious, like even if I don't totally love the premise, like I would like to read it, especially if I'm reading Demon Copperhead. Yeah, I'm gonna read a little bit of this. So, even through the roar and effervescence of the 1920s, everyone in New York has heard of Benjamin and Helen Rask. He is a legendary Wall Street tycoon. She is the daughter of eccentric aristocrats. Together, they have risen to the very top of a world of seemingly endless wealth. All as a decade of excess and speculation draws to an end. But at what cost have they acquired their immense fortune? This is the mystery at the center of Bonds, a successful 1937 novel that all of New York seems to have read. Yet there are other versions of this tale of privilege and deceit. Spanning a century, Hernan Diaz's Trust elegantly puts 4 competing narratives into conversation with one another. At once an immersive story and a brilliant literary puzzle, Trust engages the reader in a quest for truth while confronting the deceptions that often live at the heart of personal relationships, the reality-warping force of capital, and the ease with which power can manipulate facts. I think it's all about like who tells this story surrounding this novel that is one of the parts of this book. So one of these parts is the novel, and then there's kind of other perspectives as well. So it's kind of about like who tells the story, and I think how the story is told based on who is the narrator, kind of. So, like, that all sounds intriguing. It's just the subject matter itself, the whole, like, Wall Street financial tycoon thing is just, like, would normally really not be my thing. I just don't care too much about, but I'm sure it's a great book, and I do want to try to read it, so. And then that last one, Demon Copperhead, which I'm sure you've heard of as well. And I've actually, I have started it, but I have a couple reading challenges for myself this summer. So I'm kind of in the middle of one of those, so I had to put a pause. I've only read like not even 20 pages, but I couldn't help myself after my uncle was just like raving about it. So the Demon Copperhead is the name of the boy who is or his nickname in this book. It's also like kind of loosely inspired by David Copperfield, by Charles Dickens. And I did watch some interview, I think this is an NPR interview, where she was talking about how she like sat down at his desk, and kind of that's how she started writing it, was sitting down at Charles Dickens's desk. So this is a story of Demon Copperhead, that's his nickname, is this boy of a single mother who got pregnant super young. They live in Appalachia, like southern Appalachia, in this really poor area with a lot of struggles, particularly with things like addiction. Yeah, it's basically about the course of his life and him dealing with these issues and the people around him and being born into this place. So it's very big, especially for a book that I feel like is going to be more literary. And I haven't read, so I actually do have quite a bit of Barbara Kingsolver. I think the last one I read though was Bean Trees, and that was forever ago. I mean, I haven't read Barbara Kingsolver in recent years. Like I think I was in my late teens when I read that, so it's been about 10 years. So I don't even remember what her writing is like or anything, but I'm very excited to read it at some point. And yeah, struggling because I want to read all of these right now, and I know that I have other things I'm reading and need to finish before doing that. So that was my birthday weekend and a little bit of a book haul. I actually didn't read too much while I was home. I always think I'm gonna, and I bring like so many books because I can drive back, but didn't read that much. So I think I actually started a couple books which have not finished. Had a really good time though. Ooh, I will mention, I did listen, because I drive, so I listened to Page Boy on the way there. Elliot Page's new memoir. Fantastic, like so good. Probably my favorite nonfiction I've read this year, which I will do a mid-year book tag video at some point. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And on the way back, I didn't quite finish, but started listening to Lessons in Chemistry, which is also amazing, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be on my favorites from 2023. It was so good. It's so good. So I'm very close. I'm like 80% of the way through, so just need to finish that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you are having a great day. Bye.